He locked my daughter in the garage for 2 days. I returned from a business trip, and instead of hearing her laughter, I heard faint crying coming from the garage. I opened the door and found Emily, 5 years old, exhausted, bruised, her voice hoarse from crying. When she whispered, "Daddy did it," the betrayal turned into a cold fury, and I made up my mind. I would make his life a living hell. Before I continue, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment telling me where you're watching from, and let me say hello to your city. I pulled into the driveway at about 4:45, briefcase still in hand, my mind only on the glass of cold water waiting in the fridge. Quarterly reports could drain a person, even after more than a decade in business. But the silver sedan parked in my usual spot stopped me cold. Robert's car. He never came without calling first. Before I could even reach the front door, it swung open. Chloe stood there, smile stretched tight like cling wrap pulled too far. "Jess, perfect timing. We have an amazing opportunity to share." I stepped inside and set my suitcase on the entryway table. Robert sat on the sofa, hands clasped between his knees. He glanced at me briefly, then looked away. On the coffee table was a pile of glossy brochures, spiral-bound packets, and small bottles with labels promising vitality and wellness. "What is this?" I asked. Chloe gestured like a game show host revealing a prize. "A golden opportunity in the wellness industry. We're talking real wealth building here, Jess. It's next-gen multi-level marketing." I walked closer and picked up a brochure, full of before and after photos, income projections shooting straight up, testimonials from strangers about their transformed lives. "How much?" "45,000. Chloe replied casually, like discussing lunch. "An investment in Robert's future. In Emily's." I looked at my husband. He still couldn't meet my eyes. "Let me see the business plan." Chloe laid out the documents, going on about breakthrough products and unlimited income. I flipped through each page, drilling into the numbers. The commission structure revealed itself quickly. 70% of income came from recruiting new distributors, not selling products. Each recruit had to buy $3,000 worth of starter inventory. In the fine print, it said only 2% of participants ever turned a profit. I grabbed my notebook and started calculating. If Robert recruited 6 people, and each of them recruited 6 more, and so on, the math collapsed under its own weight. Just 7 levels down, and you'd run out of people in Florida. "This is a pyramid scheme," I said. Chloe's smile stiffened. "People always say that about network marketing at first. Success belongs to those who believe success belongs to the 3% who got in years ago." I tapped the income disclosure buried on page 14. I pointed to the chart. "Look at these numbers, Robert. Do you understand what they're showing?" My husband mumbled something I couldn't make out. "This model needs endless recruitment," I continued. "And when the pool runs dry, and it always does, the 97% at the bottom lose everything. You're asking me to bankroll it, to invest our daughter's future just to land among the 97%. You don't understand modern business." Chloe's voice had sharpened. "I understand data." And it doesn't lie. I folded the documents and looked directly at my husband. "I can't support this. Just like I can't support 2 people having an affair and pretending to be coworkers." That's when his mask dropped. "You always doubt me. You never believed in me like Chloe does." "Never." He shot to his feet, the chair scraping against the tiled floor. "You're sitting on a pile of money while I'm trying to build something for our family. You even made me crash at Chloe's place. You never gave without strings attached." A freezing sensation gripped my chest. His voice was shaking with anger. "You made me feel like a beggar in your house." I stood up, walked to my home office, and came back 30 seconds later with a folder. Old habits die hard for a businesswoman. I kept copies of everything. I laid out the documents in chronological order. Bank statements, voided checks, loan agreements signed but never repaid. March 2022. My voice was steady. $35,000 for you to start a business. You called it a loan. I never asked for it back. Just as Chloe opened her mouth, I cut in. July 2022. $20,000 for inventory for your boutique. But he hid it. Said he was investing with a friend. That too was called a loan. The boutique shut down after 6 months. March 2023. $15,000 for a car. He said he needed a new one for work. And these little slips. Total for 2024. $20,000 spread across various things he said needed to be paid off immediately. I laid them out in a straight line. A total of $90,000 in exchange for silence. I have full documentation. Not a single cent repaid. Not a single thank you. And now I'm met with resentment. The kitchen went silent. Chloe looked at the pile of checks like she wanted to shred them. Robert stood up, still avoiding my eyes. Let's go, he said quietly. Chloe grabbed the documents, stuffed them into her bag. Papers scattered. No one bent down to pick them up. You'll regret this. Chloe pointed her finger into the space between us, then hissed, I won't forget the way you treated us. Keep your money, with your personality. Robert's never coming back. Robert walked toward the door. I tried to catch his eyes one more time. If you want to talk more, fine, but not tonight. And not about this scam. Let's go. Chloe yanked his arm. We don't need her. I stood at the doorway and watched them head to the car. The sedan backed up too fast, tires screeching on the quiet street. I stayed there until the taillights disappeared, then turned back into the house. The kitchen counter still bore the traces of 5 years I'd spent trying to help my husband. The MLM brochure sat atop the pile of papers, bold letters promising financial freedom. I sat down slowly, placing both hands flat on the cool surface. My breathing was steady, on purpose. Something had shifted in the past hour, not shattered. Shattered implies weakness. This felt more like a recalibration, an audit of bad debts left to rot too long. I thought of how Robert never once stood up for me when Chloe accused me. The way he didn't flinch at Chloe's intimate touches. The way he just stood there, passive, as she rewrote our family history. The husband who once helped me analyze spreadsheets, who once valued honesty, who once loved me and our daughter. He had disappeared somewhere along the way. The Florida evening light poured in with its signature dull gold. I looked at those documents, adding up all the things I never asked repayment for. When you've been in business long enough, you start to see patterns. The deficit column growing, assets dwindling, the investment that never breaks even. And finally, I saw what was right in front of me. This was no longer a family. This was a transaction that had always taken from one side, a deal running at a loss for 5 years, and now they wanted another $45,000 just to keep the deficit going. The decision arrived as cleanly as a balanced equation. No more funding failure. No more pretending silence could hide betrayal. No more accounts for people who only saw me as a cash machine. I gathered the papers, slid them back into the folder. My hands were steady. My mind was clear. The house felt different, maybe quieter. Or maybe I'd finally heard the absence of a relationship I had paid for, but never truly owned. The MLM flyer on the table. I tossed it into the trash. Act 2. My mother, Martha, came home just after 8 p.m., both arms full of grocery bags. She stopped at the kitchen doorway, looked me straight in the face before saying anything. Something happened? I told her everything, in detail. My tone calm, like I was presenting a financial report to a client. When I mentioned the $45,000 investment, her hands paused mid-motion as she was putting away vegetables, fingers still resting on the fridge door. How much this time? $45,000 for a disguised pyramid scheme posing as a wellness product business. Martha shut the fridge and sat down across from me. She picked up the brochure they left behind, skimmed through a few lines, then set it down. You said no, right? Not only did I say no, I showed them why it was wrong. They didn't like that. She repeated, They? Chloe came with him. Martha reached across the table and held my hand, Jess, you did the right thing. I exhaled, gave a sad little laugh. I don't know. Maybe I could have been softer. Maybe my daughter would have had a more perfect family. She squeezed my hand tighter. This is the fourth time he's come to you with these get-rich opportunities. Every time you gave money. Every time it was lost. And not once did he take responsibility. She stood up, walked to the calendar by the phone, ran her finger across the crossed-out dates. Emily's birthday last October. He said he'd come, then canceled 2 hours before. Said he had work, but you and I both know he stayed, because Chloe wasn't feeling well. Thanksgiving. Christmas. Didn't show up. She turned back, voice slow. When's the last time he called just to check on you, not to ask for money? I stayed quiet. When? I can't remember either. He's 38 years old, Jess. Your daughter needs a father, not a friend who acts like one of her classmates. But he's still Emily's dad. I know. That's exactly why you need to be firm and make a smarter choice. That night, we talked until almost 10 p.m. Mom brought up things I'd tried to ignore. How Robert had changed since meeting Chloe. How Emily changed after we separated. How he only showed up when he needed something. How he let another woman speak on his behalf. She asked me, if this were a business partner, what would you advise them to do? I said, cut the losses. She looked me in the eyes. Then take your own advice. After packing and confirming my conference schedule, I stepped into Emily's room. She was sitting on her bed, hugging the teddy bear Robert had given her when she was 3. The nightlight cast a warm glow on her face, those brown eyes wide, waiting for me like she somehow sensed something was coming. I sat beside her, brushing her tangled soft hair. Mommy and Daddy won't be living in the same house anymore, sweetheart. Daddy will have his own place, but he's still your daddy. I just want you to know, no matter what, you are still so loved. Emily looked at me for a moment, then gave a tiny nod. I know. Daddy. Her words caught in my throat. Daddy always says he's busy, but I notice he only comes when he needs something, then leaves right after. I held her hand, trying to keep my voice steady. Does that make you sad? Not really sad, she said, eyes following the lamplight reflected on the wall. Daddy promised to take me to the park, then forgot. He didn't remember my birthday last year. I remember he said, next week, 3 weeks ago. Emily turned back, gently touched my cheek. It's okay, Mommy. I think you're doing the right thing. I don't want you to be sad every time Daddy comes home. Her words cut like a knife. I held her close, feeling her tiny breath steady on my chest. I didn't tell her the truth, that Robert was living with Chloe just 10 miles away. To Emily, I still said Daddy was on a work trip. I kissed her hair, whispered, Mommy will always be here. Always Emily nuzzled into my neck, and in that moment, I felt the simplest, truest kind of love. She didn't need explanations, didn't ask for reasons. She just wanted real love. That night, I slept better than I had in weeks. Maybe because I had finally told my daughter the truth. Maybe because I had finally made the right decision. The next morning, everything felt eerily normal. The coffee machine hummed. The smell of toast filled the kitchen. I packed for Orlando, just a 2-day trip, with the tidy rhythm of someone who's traveled for business hundreds of times. Mom pressed a to-go coffee into my hand. Text me when you get to the hotel, okay? I always do. I know. I still worry I bent down to kiss my daughter's forehead. Just 2 days. I'll be back Saturday afternoon. I'll bring back those little cakes you and Grandma love from the airport. She walked me to the door, waved as my car backed out of the driveway. Everything seemed neatly closed, settled. I didn't know that while I was listening to endless presentations on financial strategy at the conference, my mother was at home clearing the bathroom drawers. And I had no idea that at that exact moment, Robert was standing outside that door. Silent. Waiting. and about to do something that would make sure things would never be the same again. I left home at 9 a.m. Mom stayed behind to watch Emily. Orlando greeted me with a day packed full of meetings, session updates, presentation slides, handshakes, but my mind kept drifting back to last night, to the look in my daughter's eyes when she asked, "Mom, are you sad?" I texted home. "Just arrived." Mom replied, "All good." "We're having noodles." I took a deep breath, forcing myself to focus on the papers in my hands. While I was listening to a cost accounting update, Mom went into the bathroom to clean. Later, much later, she told me, her voice still shaking, that just as she reached for the mop, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned and saw Robert walk in. "Robert! What are you doing here?" He grabbed her by the shoulders and shoved hard. She stumbled, hitting the sink, a burning scrape opening on her arm. "Robert, stop! What are you doing?" She reached into her pocket for her phone. He snatched it away. His voice was flat, as if rehearsed. "You're going to stay here until Jess transfers the money. Chloe needs it. This ends the moment she agrees to sign." Before she could even process what was happening, he slammed the bathroom door shut in the garage and dragged a table across to barricade it. Emily heard the noise, ran downstairs, and met Robert at the doorway. She cried, "Daddy!" He scooped her up, set her inside the garage, and slid the latch. His hands were shaking, but his fingers didn't forget the code. He pressed twice, once to lock inside, once to bolt outside. Mom lunged forward, pushing with all her strength against the door. Useless. "Jessica's in Orlando." "She won't be back for days. You can't lock me and Emily in here." Robert stepped back, eyes avoiding hers. "Stay put, Mom." "She needs to learn her lesson." Mom tried everything, reasoning with him, while Emily clutched her doll, sobbing, not understanding what was happening. The little girl kept running to pound on the garage door, then turned back to help her grandmother try to move the table blocking them. "You're hurting your own daughter." "Please, there's no food in here. She's too young." "This is a crime." "You'll go to jail." Robert's face twisted for a moment. Maybe guilt. Chloe was right. Jessica's always held me back. "This is the only way she'll understand." He backed toward the front door. "Robert, please. She's supported you so many times. You know that." He hesitated for a second. "She exaggerates. That money was a small fraction of what she has. No. Jess has done everything to help you. You've seen it." He swallowed hard. "No. She has more. Chloe told me." "You're insane. You'd rather believe her than your own wife?" Robert's voice dropped. "I choose the one who loves me." Then he left, closing the main gate behind him, leaving my mother and my daughter screaming, trapped inside. 2 days, from Thursday to Saturday, my little girl had no food, no phone, no way to call for help. The garage window was too high and too small. The tempered glass wouldn't break, even when Mom tried hitting it with the mop handle. It was August in Florida. Even at night, the heat didn't let up. Mom said she tried to conserve energy, standing close to the door to listen, calling out until her voice gave out. All she could do was try to soothe Emily to stop her crying. Then the child started fading from exhaustion. The nearest neighbors were too far. No one heard a thing. By the second day, I still couldn't reach my mother. After 2 days at the conference, I handed off all my work to my assistant. When the car turned onto my street, I exhaled quietly, telling myself I was just being paranoid. Chloe's warning before I left had gotten under my skin. I parked, ran inside, and called out, "Mom! Emily!" No answer, no TV, no footsteps. The kitchen empty, the living room empty, the bedroom neat as when I'd left, but the lights were still on. My heart started pounding. Then I heard it, metal clanging against a door, faint, uneven. Coming from the bathroom in the garage, my hands shook so hard I entered the wrong code once. The second try, the door clicked open. Heat slammed into me like a wall. My daughter lay on the floor. Emily was curled up on the concrete, lips cracked, eyes glazed. "Sweetheart!" I dropped to my knees, pressed my hand to her cheek. It was burning hot. I screamed her name, desperate. "Emily!" Then a sound from inside, the rasp of my mother's voice, dry as sand. "Jess, here!" I shoved the table away from the door, pulled hard. The door creaked open. Mom stumbled out, leaning against the wall, her hair soaked with sweat, hands scraped raw. I grabbed my phone. 911. I need an ambulance immediately. My 5-year-old daughter was locked in a garage, severe dehydration. My mother was trapped in the bathroom. I got her out. Her ankle's injured. Are they conscious? My daughter's barely responsive. My mother can talk. I unscrewed the water bottle I'd brought, wet Emily's lips, dripped tiny sips into her mouth. She tried to swallow, coughed softly, a trickle of water running down her chin. "Slowly, baby." Her tiny hand weakly gripped my wrist. I held the phone tight to my ear, answering the dispatcher's questions in quick bursts. Mom leaned against the doorframe, her voice breaking apart. "Robert did this." The world shrank to those 3 words. "He waited for you to leave. Wanted to force. The transfer. Chloe." I looked at my daughter's cracked lips, the bruises up my mother's arm, the suffocating heat inside that garage. 2 days. Robert had locked his own daughter and my mother inside this oven. No water, no mercy. A layer of ice spread across my chest, solid and hard. The sirens grew louder. I lifted Emily into my arms, the other hand steadying my mother through the doorway. The paramedics burst into the house like a gust of cool air. They checked Emily's vitals, set up an IV, took my mother's blood pressure, scribbled notes. I stepped back half a pace to let them work, but kept holding my daughter's hand. As they wheeled the stretcher toward the door, Emily's eyes fluttered open, searching for me. "I'm here." I climbed in beside her. Outside, the Florida sun was blindingly bright, almost cruel. But inside me, there was only one cold color left: resolve. The ambulance sped off, the siren tearing through the quiet weekend afternoon, and tearing apart the last fragile piece of softness I still had left for Robert. The ambulance arrived within 8 minutes. 2 paramedics, gear in hand, rushed into the house. One young woman knelt beside Emily, checking her vitals, firing off rapid questions. I stepped back to give her space. The blood pressure cuff, the fingertip pulse oximeter, the pen light checking her pupils, the IV line, all done in swift, practiced motions. A man, his badge read Rodriguez, scanned the garage, snapped photos of the door lock, the cement floor where my daughter had collapsed, and several wide shots of the scene, standard protocol in suspected abuse and unlawful confinement. The woman looked up at me. "We'll be taking her to the hospital," then turned to my mother. "And her too." In the ambulance, I sat along the side rail of the stretcher, one hand holding the IV bag, the other clasping Emily's free hand. She already looked visibly smaller in just 2 days. Her eyelids had closed, and her breathing was slower, more steady now that the fluids were flowing. "She's stable," said Santos, the female paramedic, trying to comfort me. "But just barely. One more day, and this could have been a different story." The words dropped like a stone. I swallowed hard. My husband had nearly stolen my daughter's life. The ER was chaotic but organized. Emily was taken to an exam room. My mother, Martha, had her leg propped up and her ankle wrapped. The attending physician, James Wilson, middle-aged, kind eyes, efficient hands, took over, examining them while asking questions. How long was she locked in? Any water? Estimated garage temperature? Medical history? I answered clearly. The diagnosis was short but heavy. Emily was severely dehydrated, showing signs of heat exhaustion. She needed to be hospitalized for intravenous treatment and monitoring. Martha had a sprained ankle and surface abrasions. No internal complications. Recommended for short-term observation. The child's young, and your mother's elderly. Complications can come fast, the doctor warned. I signed the paperwork and waited in the corridor while they were moved. That was when the full weight of reality crashed down on me. The man I had once loved, the father of my daughter, Robert, had locked his child in an oven for 2 days, shoved my mother and imprisoned her, all just to threaten me. The rage forming inside me wasn't loud. A nurse brought over the admission folders. Your daughter is in pediatrics, room 412. Your mother is in room 406. You can go in now. I walked the hallway, filled with the sterile scent of disinfectant and cold machine air. Emily lay still, IV in her arm, monitor beeping softly. Her skin had begun to regain a little color. Martha lay across the hall, eyes a bit brighter. I took her hand. "Go home, Jess," she whispered. "Do what you need to do." I kissed her forehead. "I'll be back in the morning." Her eyes met mine, steady and deep. "Robert is still Emily's father." I paused at the door. No, he stopped being her father when he locked her in that garage. At 6:30 p.m., the fading sunlight painted the yard orange. Outside, the neighbors had no idea what had just happened. Inside, the air smelled like a house that had been closed all day. I didn't turn on many lights. I walked straight to the garage, stood in the doorway, staring at the space that had just held my child captive. The smell of sweat and fear still thick. I pulled out my phone and began recording everything. The keypad on the inner door, the high window out of reach, the concrete floor where Emily had collapsed. Wide shots to establish layout, close-ups of dirty handprints, drag marks, scratch lines on the door, the temperature reading on my phone, 93 degrees Fahrenheit at 7 p.m. I took photos of the doll lying limp on the floor, the dent where Emily had punched the door, the fallen shelf where my mother had tried to climb. This was evidence. Once finished, I drove straight to the police department headquarters. The night shift lights were still on. Detective Karen Morales was on duty. Sharp posture, sharp eyes, crisp movements. She sat and listened to my statement without interrupting, fingers gliding over her tablet, logging every timestamp. When I finished, she looked up. "Your husband no longer lives with your family?" "No, he's living with another woman." I handed her my phone, showing all the evidence I had photographed. She examined each image, nodding slightly. "This is criminal, Jessica. Based on your statement, we're looking at charges of unlawful confinement and child endangerment, possibly elder abuse as well." Morales drove with me to the house in an unmarked vehicle. She put on gloves, opened her evidence collection kit, took photos of the scene using a professional camera, dusted the keypad for fingerprints, retrieving multiple sets, mine, Martha's, and Robert's. She checked the lock mechanism. "When's the last time you changed this code?" "Never, since I bought the house." "Who knows it?" "Family?" "That includes Robert." She made a note, then paused when she spotted the camera on the floor. They were disconnected before the incident. "Do the neighbors have cameras?" I suddenly remembered the house across the street did. Tom had installed a ring last year. Morales crossed the road. Their lights were still on. Tom opened the door, and once she introduced herself, he pulled up the app immediately. The footage played. Thursday night, 7:14 p.m. Robert's silver sedan pulled up in front of my house. 7:17, he entered through the front door. 7:35, he walked out and drove off. The timestamps were as clear as ink on a page. Tom transferred a copy straight to Morales' tablet. "Use it!" That man doesn't deserve to be called a father. Back at my house, Morales was brief and firm. "I'll be contacting Robert for a statement." She recited it back. The scene, my mother's statement, Emily's medical condition, the ring footage, the fingerprints, the lock access. With all this, we have grounds for prosecution. The district attorney's office will decide the exact charges, but at the very least, unlawful confinement, child endangerment, and elder abuse. All felonies. How long will it take? I'll try by Sunday, Monday at the latest. If he cooperates, we'll issue the warrant. I nodded. In my mind, the list was already forming, in order: formal complaint, restraining order, civil attorney, Emily's medical records, and everything else I would need to protect my daughter permanently from the man once called father, but who no longer deserved the name. After Morales left, the house fell into silence. I stood at the threshold of the garage one more time, letting the cold in my chest solidify into something hard. From this moment on, Robert would face every consequence of the choices he had made. Back in the living room, I didn't turn on the lights. I sat in the dark, body drained but mind wide awake. Enough evidence, she'd said so. Unlawful confinement, elder abuse against my mother, child endangerment against Emily. Robert had planned this, waited for me to leave before he acted. And Chloe? Did she know? Or was she the one who pushed him? The phone sat on the coffee table. 4 missed calls from Robert. 3 unread messages. The contents were shameless. "Jess, call me when you can. We need to talk, seriously. It's important. Please call back." He was calling while my daughter was locked in the garage. Was that guilt? Or checking if I'd come home early? 10:47 p.m. The phone rang again. Robert. I let it go through 2 rings, 3. On the 4th, I answered. His voice was rushed, nervous. "Finally, you picked up. About what happened earlier. I know you're angry, but let me explain." I panicked. "I only meant to force your mom to talk to you, convince you. The money thing was supposed to be just a few hours, I didn't think." I stayed silent. "Your mom and Emily. Are they okay? Are you home yet?" 2 days, I said. The line went dead quiet. 2 days, Robert. You locked my daughter and my mother in a garage in mid-August. No water, no food. His voice cracked. "I thought you were gone just one night. If only you—" "So you waited until I left town to trap my family, and your excuse is that my trip lasted longer than you planned?" "Don't say it like that, Chloe." "No, I just panicked about the money. I thought if maybe—" "You thought you could extort me by torturing your own daughter?" He snapped, voice rising. "Don't use that word." "Emily's in the hospital for severe dehydration and heat exhaustion. The doctor said another day, and we might be talking about a very different ending." "Jess, I'm sorry. I made a mistake." "No, Robert. Not a mistake. This was deliberate." My voice was low, steady. "You waited until I was gone. You used the door code I gave you when you were still a husband, still a father worth that trust." "I'm still Emily's dad," he shouted. "No, you're a criminal who assaulted an elderly woman and left a child to bake in an oven." His voice faltered. "If you'd just help me. I gave you $90,000 over 3 years. You never paid a cent back, and you used my money to fund the woman you're hiding. And today, you chose to endanger your daughter's life over cash flow," he panted. "Chloe said you'd twist the story, make me look useless." I froze for half a second. "Chloe." He realized his slip. "No, I mean, she—" "You mean your mistress encouraged you to do something to pressure me, and you chose to lock up my mother and my daughter." "That's not true." "It's exactly true." "This call is being recorded." My voice dropped to ice. "I've already filed a report. The police are investigating. I have every piece of evidence. You'll face charges for unlawful confinement, child endangerment, and elder abuse." "Please don't. I'm Emily's father." "You should have remembered that before you left her." I hung up. The phone rang again immediately. I let it ring out. 3 more calls, then text. "Don't do this to me. Jess, please listen. I'm sorry, but Chloe's pregnant. If I get arrested, I'll lose everything." I read every word slowly, painfully, then deleted them all. I sat there in the dark, the phone finally quiet in my hand. Almost midnight. Tomorrow, Morales would meet with Robert. The legal machinery was already turning, but legal consequences weren't enough. I needed to destroy everything Robert and Chloe had built, everything they depended on. I reached for my briefcase, pulled out a yellow legal pad, clicked my pen. At the top, I wrote one word: consequences. Below it, I began the list, each line straight as a pulled wire. Sunday morning, the Florida sun slammed through the kitchen window. I'd been up since 5 a.m., coffee cold on the table, the legal pad filled edge to edge with writing. At 9 o'clock, I started making calls. Family law offices, civil attorneys, estate planners. Most were closed, so I left the exact same message. Seeking representation for a civil lawsuit and estate planning related to elder/child abuse. By 3 p.m., a number I didn't recognize rang back. Jessica? This is Jonathan Pierce. Come by my office tomorrow at 9 a.m. On Monday, I sat in a corner office on the 14th floor overlooking the bay, full-height glass windows. Jonathan was in his late 50s, silver hair, sharp eyes that missed nothing. He listened as I spoke, didn't interrupt, just took precise notes. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. What's your objective? Every legal consequence must happen: criminal, civil, financial. As for the relationship, he locked my mother and daughter in a garage for 2 days. There's nothing to reconcile. He nodded. In that case, the strategy will be direct. He stood, picked up a marker, and drew 3 columns on the whiteboard. Criminal, civil, family, estate. 1. Criminal. You'll support the detective, submit all evidence, be ready to testify. 2. Civil. We sue for IIED, false imprisonment, child endangerment. I propose a $250,000 claim based on medical costs, therapy, and damages. 3. Family, estate. File for immediate protection, no contact order, divorce, restrict visitation rights. Update your will. Simultaneously establish a trust to lock assets for Emily. I looked at the board like it was a financial ledger. This was a campaign, and Jonathan had just drawn the battle map. We start with the will and the trust. Agreed. The paralegal printed a draft within the hour. 7 pages of legal language, but the core was clear. All current and future assets would transfer into the Emily Trust, managed by an independent trustee. Any visitation or access to assets by Robert would be subject to court order and strict safety conditions. I signed the last page. 2 witnesses signed. The notary sealed it. Late afternoon, as we reviewed the civil suit filing, Jonathan's desk phone lit up. A message from the private investigator. Preliminary report ready. He turned the screen toward me. Bullet points appeared. Current rental address of Robert and Chloe. Lease set to expire. Employment records. Credit report. Total outstanding debt. Approximately $35,000. Assets. Virtually none. The investigator had also tracked Chloe's business ventures. Chloe's startup history. $18,000 spent on supplements. $25,000 on essential oils. $17,000 on wellness. 3 MLMs over 3 years. $60,000 gone. Jonathan raised an eyebrow. The $45,000 they asked for wasn't an opportunity. It was a lifeline. He typed in another line. Risk of losing housing soon. Pending felony charges. Flagged records. Likely eviction from new landlord. He looked at me, calm and deliberate. They chose this path. I nodded. And I'll make sure they don't skip a single consequence. I closed the notebook, the cold, clear feeling in my chest finally solidifying, step by step, not rushed, but precise, so Robert and Chloe would walk every inch of the slope they'd greased themselves. Act 6. I brought Martha and my daughter home from the hospital that afternoon. My little girl was discharged after 48 hours of fluids and observation. My mother looked better, color in her cheeks, light in her eyes, but she still moved carefully. At home, I had everything ready. Water bottles, medication, the TV remote. She sat on the bed, glancing around as if seeing it all for the first time. I sat beside her, holding her hand. She was home. She was safe. That evening, as I was brewing orange blossom tea for her, the phone buzzed. Robert. I looked at the screen for a moment. then answered, to let him bury himself deeper. Jess, please. I know you hired a lawyer. Don't do this. I panicked. That's all. I leaned against the counter, watching the steam rise from the kettle, my voice steady. I've already filed the report. The police are handling it. There's nothing left to say. His voice dropped, pleading, full of words like mistake, family, until finally he shouted, "What more do you want from me? I want you to lose everything you value more than your daughter's life." I don't value money over her. Not money? Then what? Chloe? He stammered. Chloe didn't know what I was planning. I swear I shot back. You said Saturday that Chloe predicted how I'd react. She knew exactly what I would do. Silence. Emily needs her father. I answered flatly. Emily needs safety. And her father locked her in a garage in mid-August. The silence stretched. I ended it. From now on, all communication goes through lawyers. I hung up, opened my contacts, and blocked his number. The screen went dark. The kitchen was quiet again, except for the faint whistle of the kettle. I texted Jonathan a summary of the call. A minute later, he replied, "Keep the log. Screenshot your call history. Don't respond again." I did exactly that. When I brought the tea to Mom, she asked how things were progressing. I told her about the lawyer meeting, the will, the civil suit being drafted, the financial investigation. She listened quietly, expression unreadable. Finally, she asked one question. Is this truly what you need to do? I need him to understand that actions have consequences, that you can't hurt people and walk away. She looked at my face and saw the change complete. Then do what you need to. I trust you, but softly, she added. Just don't let it consume you. I won't. I stepped into my daughter's room. She was asleep on the bed. I looked at her, then checked my phone. An email from Jonathan. The civil lawsuit was ready for review. Filing scheduled for Friday, unless I requested revisions. Wednesday morning, 9:15. The phone rang. Jessica, this is Detective Morales. I wanted to inform you. We arrested Robert about an hour ago. He's being processed. I set my coffee cup down, straightened my back. Charges? False imprisonment and child abuse endangerment. Bail is set at $25,000. There's also a no-contact order for you and Emily. I nodded, even though she couldn't see it. Thank you. I ended the call and looked at my mother. She closed her eyes briefly, exhaled. It's happened. I poured her more tea, speaking as if reading from a checklist I already knew by heart. He'll need $25,000 to post bail. Then wait for trial. Did they have that money? I remembered the investigator's report. $35,000 in debt, no assets, no savings. No, Martha said nothing. I immediately emailed Jonathan and Emily's pediatrician, updating them and requesting a medical statement confirming dehydration and heat exhaustion to include in the civil case file. The inbox showed, received. At 2 p.m., an unknown number called. I answered. Jessica? A sharp, trembling voice mixed with tears. It's Chloe. What are you doing? You're his wife. How can you let Robert go to jail? I let her cry and ramble. He just panicked. I didn't know. You're being cruel. Then said clearly, each word measured. I've filed the civil suit. He committed multiple felonies. The police arrested him based on evidence. Evidence? You gave it to them? You could have let it go. Let it go? Why? He locked my daughter and mother in a garage for 2 days. He made his choice. Now he lives with it. Her voice cracked. He'll go to prison because you're too stubborn to help your own husband. I let the silence hang. Finally, I said, then start saving for his bail. I paused, then continued. You two have nothing left. $35,000 in debt. No assets. Your lease expires in 3 weeks. And Chloe, you burned $60,000 on 3 pyramid schemes. You didn't build a business. You built a fantasy. She went silent. When she spoke again, her tone had changed, calculated. You investigated us? I needed to know what I was up against. perfectly legal and preparing a civil case, which I'll be filing Friday. On the other end, her voice turned threatening. We'll tell everyone you're lying, manipulating, jealous. I smiled. Tell it to the court. And bring evidence. I hung up, adding Chloe's number to the blocked list. An hour later, a friend texted me a link. Chloe had just posted a long rant on Facebook, calling me a manipulative woman, accusing me of exaggerating events to get revenge on her ex-husband, and implying I had fabricated everything to gain full custody. Her profile photo showed her standing next to Robert, with a shaky caption beneath. I didn't clap back online. I simply took screenshots of the full post, the comments, the timestamp, and forwarded the folder to Jonathan. 5 minutes later, he video called. Good. We'll send a defamation cease and desist immediately. Demand the post be removed within 24 hours, and that all copies be preserved in case we need to escalate. I nodded. Do it now. He promised it would be sent before 6 p.m. I returned to Emily, checked the room temperature, placed a small bell within her reach, confirmed this week's child therapy appointment. Everything was moving according to plan. The next afternoon, the email arrived. Cease and desist sent. At 6:10, Chloe's post vanished. On her feed, only the gray marker remained. This content isn't available. I opened my notebook and drew a clean line through one item. Defamation, removed. Then added the next goal. Serve civil lawsuit papers to both on preliminary hearing day. Night fell, and the house was quiet. Emily slept soundly, hugging her teddy bear. My mother sat in the armchair, with her eyes closed, resting. She looked up when I walked in, watching me for a long moment. Sometimes I don't recognize you anymore, she said softly. This version of you. The one without love. I know, I replied, and she reached out to give me a warm hug. But Jessica, she added, when will it end? I whispered back to her, as much to myself as to her. It ends when every legal consequence is enforced. Criminal charges, civil judgment, permanent removal from the estate, when he's lost everything. Then we move forward. He's not my husband anymore, just someone I used to know. Martha closed her eyes. You're going to the arraignment? So, yes. I want to see his face when the charges are read. She looked at me again, her expression unreadable. Then finally she stood and headed toward her bedroom. At the door, she paused. I love you, Jessica. This version and every version. But promise me something. What? I asked. She thought for a moment, then said, promise me that when it's over, when he's punished and pays and loses it all, you'll let go. That you won't carry this bitterness forever? I weighed her words. I don't hate him, Martha. I just don't love him anymore. I don't care what happens to him after this. He'll be a stranger to me, and I never want to see him again. She nodded slowly. Maybe that's worse than hate. Maybe, but it's honest. I sat still as evening deepened into night. The house was silent, except for the hum of the AC and the sound of my own breathing. Monday morning, I arrived at the courthouse. Security check, then the elevator up to the 4th floor. Robert and Chloe were already seated in the hallway, their heads leaned together, whispering in a rush. Robert wore a dark blue suit, broad in the shoulders, but wrinkled at the collar, eyes sunken with dark circles. Chloe stared at me, eyes hard. I walked past them without a word and sat on the opposite bench just as the courtroom doors opened. Judge Patricia Morrison stepped in, her voice crisp and firm. Case, State of Florida versus. Robert Hayes prosecutor Rachel Torres stood. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Robert's public defender, Sarah Chen, gave a faint nod. Torres presented with the precision of a scalpel. Emily's medical report. Severe dehydration, signs of heat exhaustion, crime scene photos, the neighbor's ring footage. 15 minutes. Enough to reconstruct the entire event. Sarah tried. This was a family conflict that spiraled beyond intent. The judge cut in, sharp. Locking a 5-year-old in a garage for 2 days in August is not beyond intent. That is grounds for prosecution. Sarah sat down, already defeated. I watched Robert the entire time. When they read the medical findings, he closed his eyes. When the garage photos played, his fingers gripped the table edge so tight they turned white. But he never once looked at me. The judge addressed him directly. This court finds sufficient cause to bind over. The no-contact order with Jessica and Emily remains in effect. Trial date is set for September 15th, 9 a.m. Bail remains as previously established. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor. The gavel dropped. 27 minutes, clean, cold, and final. I stood, gave a slight nod to the prosecutor, and walked into the hallway. Just outside the courtroom, Robert and Chloe were handed the civil lawsuit papers: intentional infliction of emotional distress, false imprisonment, child endangerment, with a proposed compensation of $250,000. Chloe burst into tears. Robert stood frozen, like he couldn't understand what language the word consequences was written in. That afternoon, Jonathan reported, "Complaint filed in the system. No contact order remains active." Everything continued rolling forward on track. I didn't respond to any of their messages. All communication, if any, would go through legal counsel. Thursday morning, an email from the private investigator. Robert and Chloe's landlord had sent notice the night before that their lease would not be renewed. 17 days left to find a new place. They scrambled for housing, but were met with rejections across the board. Sunday afternoon, a strange number flashed on my screen. I picked up. It was Robert. His voice was hoarse, worn down. "Jess, please don't hang up. I know I have no right to ask. I was wrong. We're about to lose the apartment. No one will rent to us. I'm going to jail. Everything's gone. Please. Help me." I let him speak until he ran out of breath. Then calmly replied, "Your mistake wasn't asking for money. Your mistake was locking your 5-year-old daughter in a garage for 2 days. The doctor said 24 more hours, and she might not have survived. You were 24 hours for murder." I didn't mean... Intent doesn't erase impact. You did it. Now you face the consequences. You'll go to court, take the ruling, and rebuild your life yourself. "Jessica, please," he begged. "I'm not your fallback anymore." I blocked his number, not because I feared he'd call again, but because I needed the finality that lived inside a single press of a button. That evening, Chloe tried a different route: Facebook. A long, emotional post. But this time, thanks to the defamation notice Jonathan had sent the week before, the post disappeared within hours. I saved all the screenshots, time-stamped every image. No online arguments. We'd speak in court. I didn't need to shout to win. I just needed records. Late at night, I stood at Emily's bedroom door. She slept peacefully, hugging her old teddy bear. I gently adjusted the thin blanket and softly closed the door. Tuesday. The full report from the private investigator arrived. Housing status: still no new place. Financial status: missed bail bond payment. Collections initiated. Employment: terminated August 30th. Credit score dropped. Civil case: 3 legal aid organizations declined support. Every domino had fallen. Friday, Jonathan called. His voice carried a hint of surprise. "Jessica, Robert's attorney just sent a settlement proposal." I stayed silent as he read. "They're offering $10,000 in compensation, a public apology, admission of wrongdoing, and a full waiver of any inheritance or asset claims involving you and Emily." I asked slowly, "Where would they get that money?" "All they could scrape together," Jonathan replied. "But the real value is in the terms: a formal apology, a written admission of guilt, and permanent surrender of any legal rights to Emily. They wouldn't offer this unless they were completely cornered." I sat quietly, watching the light outside the window. "What will you do?" Martha asked. I ran my finger over the typed words. I would accept, not out of forgiveness, but because this was the most complete victory. Emily would be protected, and the truth would be documented. He would admit everything. He would give up everything. He would break. Martha placed her hand over mine. Then let it end. Monday, we would return to court for the final time. That morning, Martha insisted on coming with me. I want to be there when it's over, she said. We dressed professionally and drove downtown. The courthouse felt familiar now. One last time. The civil hearing was held in a smaller, quieter room. Judge Thomas Rodriguez presided. Jonathan Pierce was already there. Sarah Chen arrived with Robert and Chloe. Both looked exhausted, neatly dressed, but visibly tense. When prompted, Robert stood, pulling a folded sheet from his pocket. His voice was shaky, flat. I, Robert Hayes, apologized to Jessica and Emily for my actions. On August 15, 2025, I unlawfully confined my daughter and my mother-in-law in a garage, causing significant physical and emotional harm. I take full responsibility. He folded the paper and sat down, eyes fixed on the floor. The room was silent. There was no remorse, only procedure. The judge read back the agreement, confirmed its validity. The civil case is hereby closed. The gavel dropped, clean and final. Not long after, Jonathan approached. The prosecutor just confirmed. Robert entered a no-contest plea in the criminal case. The court ruled 2 years probation, 200 hours of community service, mandatory counseling, and a permanent no-contact order with me and Emily. Any violation could result in up to 10 years of incarceration. I asked, "What about Chloe?" "Currently being reviewed as a possible accomplice. Will proceed separately if there's sufficient evidence, but..." "She's pregnant?" I nodded. "Let the law take care of the rest." As I exited the courthouse, I saw Robert standing about 10 steps away, head bowed, hands clenched. His lips moved like he wanted to say something, but I just looked at him. No anger, no pity, only recognition. Then I took my mother's hand and walked past him, like passing a stranger I once shared a home with. Behind me, Chloe burst into tears. The elevator doors closed, and I knew. That was the last time. That evening, I roasted chicken. Mom made salad. We ate on the porch, the sunset casting soft gold over the wooden table, in a silence that was peaceful. We talked about small things. Emily's parent-teacher meeting, her art therapy class, plans to set up a trust for her future. No one mentioned Robert. Both the civil and criminal cases were closed. 24 days since the beginning. I went into my office, opened my laptop, created a folder titled Closed, September 2025, moved every document into it, then shut it down. When I returned to the bedroom, my mother was already asleep. Across the hallway, Emily lay still, hugging her bear, her breathing steady. I stood quietly, looking at the 2 small women I had kept from falling apart. What I felt wasn't joy. It was complete peace. Justice had done its job. Quietly, slowly, and precisely. I turned off the light and whispered, "We're safe now." If you've ever gone on a journey to reclaim justice for yourself or someone you love, share your story in the comments. Subscribe so you don't miss the voices and victories of those who've risen after being broken.
Apparently, receiving anonymous flowers at work isn't romantic. It's a spoiler alert for your entire marriage. My name is Alma Dawson. I'm 34 years old, marketing manager at a tech company in Austin, Texas, and I just found out that my 8-year marriage is performance art disguised as commitment. The roses arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. Regular boring Tuesday with regular boring client meetings. Our receptionist went full cheerleader mode. "Alma, someone's being romantic." My coworkers swarmed instantly. Classic office behavior. Everyone taking pictures, sniffing the roses, making jokes about lucky girl and relationship goals. I smiled, played along. That's what you do when you think your marriage is solid, right? Opened the card. "He doesn't deserve you, but I see you." Masculine handwriting. Strong, confident. Definitely not Dean's sloppy scrawl. My hands started shaking. Flipped the card over. A link. Handwritten URL. Short. Specific. Personal. I grabbed the flowers, mumbled something about putting them in water, and practically sprinted to the bathroom. Locked myself in the furthest stall. Sat on the closed toilet lid. Bouquet balanced awkwardly on my lap. Phone clutched in sweating palms. Typed the link. Private album. 16 photos loaded one by one. Each image a tiny bomb exploding in my chest. Photo 1. My husband Dean with a woman. Redhead, early 30s. Gorgeous smile. Restaurant I didn't recognize. He's looking at her the way he used to look at me. Past tense. Used to. Photo 2. Same woman. Different day. Movie theater. His arm around her shoulders. Casual. Comfortable. Familiar. Photo 3. Grocery store parking lot. Her cart. His hand on the small of her back. Domesticity that felt like a knife. Photos 4 through 8. Different locations. Different outfits. Same woman. Same my husband. Coffee shops, parks, that boutique wine bar downtown he always said was too pretentious. Photo 9 made my vision blur. Them at a restaurant in Dallas. Dean had told me he was in Houston that weekend. Big client presentation, babe. Can't miss it. Apparently, the only thing he couldn't miss was her. Photo 10, San Antonio, Riverwalk. Holding hands like teenagers. He'd said, team building retreat. The only thing he was building was a second life. Photo 11 destroyed me. Supermarket. Regular suburban Tuesday vibes. Shopping together. Her laughing at something he said. Buying things that never showed up at our house. Photos 12 through 15. More dates. More lies. More proof that my marriage was a part-time gig for him. Photo 16. Yesterday's date stamped in the corner. Office setting. His office. Her sitting on his lap. His desk. Business hours. Broad daylight. Like they owned the place. Like I didn't exist. I couldn't breathe. The bathroom stall felt smaller. Roses smelled sickening now. Sweet rotting. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I'm the one who sent the flowers. We need to talk. Cafe Medici, 6 p.m. tonight. I'll explain everything. This isn't random. You deserve to know the truth. Seth Barrett, my ex-boyfriend from college. The guy I dated for 3 years before Dean. The guy who proposed when we were 24 and I said no because I needed to focus on my career. The guy who left Austin, moved to Dallas, became some corporate controller, and I never saw again. Seth worked at the same consulting firm as Dean. Same building, same floor, same meetings. And apparently, same front row seat to my husband's double life. I stared at my reflection in the stall door's metal coat hook. Mascara starting to run. Lipstick chewed off. Looking exactly like someone whose world just collapsed. 6 p.m. Cafe Medici. My ex-boyfriend. My cheating husband's evidence. My entire marriage potentially imploding over espresso. The roses sitting on my lap suddenly felt less like a gift and more like a warning shot. Dean texted, "Late meeting tonight. Don't wait up. Love you. Love you." 2 words that used to mean everything. Now they just sounded like corporate jargon. Empty. Rehearsed. Meaningless. I texted back, "No problem. See you later." Lies. We were both so good at lies. I stood up, flushed the toilet for effect, office politics, even during personal apocalypse, and walked back to my desk. Smiled at coworkers, thanked them for the flower excitement, sat down, opened my laptop, pretended to work while my brain screamed questions. How long has this been going on? Who is this woman? Does she know about me? Does Dean love her? Did he ever actually love me? And the question that burned worst, how did I not see this? 3 hours until 6 p.m. 3 hours until I met my ex-boyfriend and found out exactly how bad this disaster really was. 3 hours to sit in my office chair, surrounded by coworkers who think I'm lucky, staring at roses that smell like betrayal, waiting to learn the truth about a marriage I thought I understood. The roses sat on my desk. Everyone kept commenting. So romantic. You're so lucky. Dean's the best. Dean, my husband, my liar, my stranger. At 5:45 p.m., I grabbed my purse, told my boss I had a personal appointment. He barely looked up. I walked to my car, hands steady now. Shock does that. Makes you cold. Clinical. Efficient. Drove to Cafe Medici. Parked. Sat in my car for 10 minutes, staring at the entrance. Deep breath. Walked inside. Seth was already there. Corner table. Back to the wall. He looked older. Gray threading his temples. Sharp suit. Blue eyes still intense. Still attractive? Wrong thought. Bad timing. He stood when he saw me. Gentleman reflex. Alma. His voice. Deeper than I remembered. Rougher. Seth. We sat. Silence stretched between us like a chasm. I'm sorry, he started. I know this is... Just tell me. My voice sounded dead. Flat. Tell me everything. Seth looked at me like I was fragile china. Spoiler alert. I wasn't fragile. I was furious. I've been working with Dean for 2 years. He started. Fingers wrapped around his coffee cup. We're not friends. Colleagues. You know how corporate works. Surface-level pleasantries, fake laughs at bad jokes during team meetings. I nodded. Waited. My coffee sat untouched. Too nauseous for caffeine. About 6 months ago, I noticed him at a happy hour with this woman. Vanessa Clark, junior analyst, 32. Recently divorced. Seth's jaw tightened. At first I thought maybe coworker thing. Networking. Whatever. But then I saw them again. And again. Always the same energy. Intimate. Secretive. You followed him. Not a question. I documented him. Seth met my eyes. Because you deserve to know the truth, Alma. You always deserved honesty. The subtext hung heavy between us. Unlike Dean. Unlike the man who asked me to marry him while apparently auditioning replacements. Seth pulled out his phone. Showed me more. So much more. Email screenshots. Work correspondence between Dean and Vanessa that started professional and devolved into flirty. Then explicit. Not graphic. Thank God, wrong audience for that. But clear. Can't wait to see you tonight. Last weekend was incredible. She suspects nothing. She, me, I was she in my own marriage. There's more, Seth said quietly. He showed me expense reports. Dean had been charging personal dinners as client meetings. Hotels as conference accommodations. The company was literally funding his affair. Our family budget, tight because Dean always claimed work didn't reimburse enough, was tight because he was spending money on her. Does she know he's married? My voice cracked. First sign of emotion breaking through the ice. Oh, she knows. Seth's tone went sharp, angry. She thinks it's hilarious. I overheard her at the office Christmas party last year. She was drunk, bragging to another analyst. Said something like, playing house with someone else's husband hits different. I felt my face flush. Hot, humiliated. This woman, this Vanessa, knew about me. Knew I existed. And chose to participate anyway. Chose to laugh about it. Chose to be the punchline in my marriage. Why now? I asked. Why tell me now? Why the flowers, the drama, because I'm tired of watching him disrespect you. Seth leaned forward. Intense. Alma, I see you at company events sometimes. Regional meetings. You show up to support him. You smile. You network for his career. And he stopped. Breathed. He's throwing you away like you're nothing. You're not nothing. The way he said it. Past and present colliding. The boy who proposed. The man who disappeared. The stranger who just handed me evidence of my husband's betrayal. Where does she live? I asked. Seth hesitated. Alma. Where does she live? He told me. Gave me the address. Nice complex in Central Austin. The kind with a pool and gym. The kind Dean and I couldn't afford because we were saving for our future. Apparently, our future included his side piece living better than his wife. I stood up. Thank you, Seth, for the truth. For caring enough to... My voice broke. I hated it. Hated crying. Hated feeling weak. Alma. He stood too, reached out, stopped himself. What are you going to do? Something stupid, probably? I tried to smile. Failed. Or something genius. Haven't decided yet. I left. drove home in autopilot. Dean wasn't there, obviously. Late meeting. Right. Late meeting with Vanessa's thighs, more like. God, I was becoming crude in my own head. Heartbreak does that. I poured wine. Expensive bottle we were saving for our anniversary next month. Screw it. Drank straight from the bottle. Sat on our couch, the one we bought together at IKEA, arguing about colors and fabrics, and stared at our wedding photo on the wall. We looked happy. Young. Stupid. My phone buzzed. Dean. Heading home soon. Want me to grab takeout? The audacity. The sheer audacity of this man to ask about dinner after spending his day with another woman. I typed back, sure, surprise me, because I was about to surprise him too. Thursday morning. I called in sick. First time in 3 years. My boss sounded concerned. You never take sick days, Mabel, are you okay? He called me Mabel. Wrong name. Didn't even correct him. What did it matter? I drove to Vanessa's apartment. Watched. Like a suburban stalker. Pathetic? Absolutely. Necessary? Also absolutely. She left at 8:47 a.m. Professional outfit, hair perfect, makeup flawless. She looked happy, content, well-rested. Probably because she wasn't carrying the weight of a dying marriage. I waited. Dean's car pulled up at 9:15 a.m. He parked, looked around, guilty reflex, and walked into her building like he owned it. Confident, casual, familiar. He was supposed to be at the office. Early morning presentation, he'd said at breakfast. I'd made him eggs. He'd kissed my cheek, tasted like lies. I took photos, time-stamped, documented. Maybe I learned from Seth. Maybe I was just tired of being the idiot wife. My phone rang. Seth, where are you? Staking out my husband's girlfriend's apartment. You know, normal Thursday activities. Alma, don't do anything crazy. Define crazy. Silence. Then, want backup? I almost laughed. Almost. Why would you? Because you shouldn't be alone right now. And because... He paused. Because I never stopped caring about you, Alma, even when you said no, even when you chose him. I never stopped. My heart did something weird, painful, complicated. Cafe Medici, 20 minutes. I hung up. We met again. Same table, different energy. I have a plan, I said. Seth raised an eyebrow. Should I be worried? Probably. But you're going to help me anyway. He smiled. Small. Sad. Yeah, I am. I laid it out. Step by step. Seth listened. Added suggestions. Corporate insider knowledge. We weren't just planning confrontation. We were planning demolition. This could get messy, Seth warned. Good. I meant it. He made a mess of our marriage. Time to return the favor. Thursday evening, 7 p.m. Dean texted, another late one. Don't wait up. I texted Vanessa's landlord. Found him on the building website. Claimed to be her sister. Lost my key. Can you let me in? Emergency. Older guy. Bought it completely. Opened her door. I tipped him $20. Thanks so much. Waited inside her apartment. Lights off. Door unlocked. Dean arrived at 7:43 p.m. Used his key, to her apartment. Vanessa showed up at 7:51 p.m. Takeout bags, Thai food, the kind Dean always said he hated. Apparently, he only hated it with me. They walked in together, laughing, her hand on his arm. I turned on the lights. Hi, honey. Your meeting ended early. The looks on their faces, priceless, worth every second of humiliation, worth every lie, worth every wasted year. Dean went pale. Actually pale. Like vampire seeing sunlight pale. Vanessa froze. Thai food hitting the floor. Pad Thai exploding across her pristine white carpet. Alma, Dean started. Shut up, Dean. I smiled. Cold, calm. Adults are talking. Oh, wait. I looked at Vanessa. Are you an adult? Hard to tell when you're playing dress-up in someone else's marriage. She found her voice. This isn't what it looks like. Really? I pulled out my phone. Started showing photos. Because it looks like my husband has been living a double life. It looks like you knew he was married. It looks like you both thought I was too stupid to notice. Dean tried to step forward. Alma, let me explain. Explain what? My voice rose. 8 years of silence breaking. Explain how you used our grocery money for her rent? Explain how you lied about business trips? Explain how you made me feel crazy for asking why you were always tired, always distant, always gone. It just happened. Dean, master of cliches. Nothing just happens, Dean. You made choices. Every single day. You chose to lie, chose to cheat, chose to make me the idiot wife while you played house with her. Vanessa crossed her arms. Defensive now. You clearly weren't making him happy. I laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, sweetheart. You think you're special? You think you won something? I stepped closer. She stepped back. You got the leftovers. The scraps. The man who's too cowardly to end his marriage but too selfish to stay faithful. Congratulations. You're dating garbage. I pulled off my wedding ring. 8 years. Platinum band. Small diamond. All we could afford back then. Placed it on her coffee table. He's all yours, Vanessa. Good luck managing a man who lies for sport. You're going to need it. Dean tried to grab my arm. Alma, wait! I pulled away. Don't touch me. Don't call me. Don't come home. We're done. Walked out, head high, heart shattered, but dignity intact. Seth was waiting in the parking lot, leaning against his car, arms crossed, protective. How'd it go? I called her garbage. I laughed, cried, both. I'm a mess. You're magnificent. He opened his car door. Come on. Let's get you somewhere safe. Seth drove me to a hotel. Not sketchy. Respectable. Marriott downtown. He checked me in under my maiden name. Alma Rutherford. Like witness protection for the emotionally demolished. You didn't have to do this, I said, standing in the room. King bed. Clean sheets. Neutral colors. Everything my life wasn't. Yes, I did. He set my overnight bag down. I'd grabbed it from the house while Dean was at Vanessa's. You need space to think. And you shouldn't be alone. You gonna stay here and hold my hand? Sarcasm. Defense mechanism. If you need me to. He wasn't joking. We stared at each other. 10 years of history. 3 years of love. 1 rejection. 2 years of working near each other without contact. And now this. I should hate you, I said quietly. You disappeared. You didn't fight for me when I said no. You said no, Alma. I respected that, even though it destroyed me. His voice cracked. Rare vulnerability. I moved to Dallas to get away from memories of you. Threw myself into work. Dated other people. Nothing stuck. Because nobody was you. Seth, I'm not asking for anything. I'm not expecting anything. He moved toward the door. I just needed you to know the truth about Dean. What you do with that information is entirely up to you. I'll be at the Hilton across the street if you need me. For anything. Even just to talk. He left. I sat on the bed. Stared at my phone. 17 missed calls from Dean. 12 texts. Escalating from apologetic to angry to desperate. Alma, please let me explain. You're being irrational. It meant nothing. You're throwing away 8 years over a mistake. Classic cheater playbook. Minimize, gaslight, blame the victim. I didn't respond. Instead, I called someone else. Griffith and Associates, how may I direct your call? I need a divorce attorney. Best one you have. Money's not an object. 40 minutes later, I had a consultation scheduled for Friday morning. Catherine Griffith herself. Shark in heels. Reputation for destroying cheating spouses in court. Then, I called my bank. Joint accounts. Started documenting every transaction. Every suspicious charge. Every business dinner that cost $300. Every hotel. Every flight. Dean had been sloppy. Arrogant. He genuinely thought I was too trusting to check. Wrong. I found deposits I didn't recognize. 500 here, 800 there. Payments from our savings account to Venmo? I traced them. All to Vanessa. He was paying her. My husband was using our money to pay his mistress. My hands shook. Not from sadness anymore. From rage. I called Seth. It's midnight. He answered, voice rough with sleep. He was paying her. Dean was sending Vanessa money from our joint savings. Thousands, Seth, thousands. Silence. Then, I'm coming over. You don't have to. I'm already dressed. 5 minutes later, he knocked. I opened the door. He had coffee, 2 cups. Knew how I took mine. Cream, no sugar. Remembered after 10 years. We sat on the hotel bed, laptops open, going through finances like forensic accountants. Here, Seth pointed. This charge. 4 nights at the Fairmont in Dallas. Same week you posted on Facebook about being sick with the flu. He said he had a conference. I remember that week. I had pneumonia, could barely breathe. He FaceTimed me once. Said the conference was boring. I laughed bitterly. He was with her, while I was home alone, sick, thinking my husband actually cared. Seth's jaw clenched. He's worse than I thought. We found more. Jewelry purchases, designer bags, lingerie from boutiques I'd never been to, all charged to our credit cards, all for her. This is financial infidelity, Seth said. In Texas, you can use this in divorce court. Dissipation of marital assets. Judge will make him pay you back, with interest. How do you know that? My sister went through a divorce 2 years ago. Ugly one. I learned more about family law than I ever wanted to know. He looked at me. You're going to destroy him, Alma. Legally, financially, professionally. Professionally? Seth smiled. Dangerous. Dean's been violating company policy. Fraternization with subordinate employee. Using corporate resources for personal affairs. Falsifying expense reports. I have documentation. Emails. Witnesses. I've been building a case. You've been planning this. Not a question. I've been protecting you. There's a difference. My phone buzzed. Dean again. Alma, I'm outside the house. Your car's not here. Where are you? We need to talk. I love you. This is fixable. I showed Seth. He shook his head. Narcissist's prayer. That didn't happen. And if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, that's not a big deal. And if it is, that's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, you deserved it. Poetic. Accurate. I typed back to Dean. Talk to my attorney. Catherine Griffith. You'll be hearing from her Monday. Sent. Blocked his number. Savage, Seth said, impressed. I'm just getting started. Friday morning. Attorney's office. Catherine Griffith was everything advertised. 60-something, silver hair, eyes like a predator. She listened to my story, reviewed my documentation, smiled. This is the easiest case I've had all year. Your husband's an idiot. He left a paper trail visible from space. What can we get? Everything. She leaned forward. Texas is a community property state, but judges have discretion when one spouse wastes marital assets. He paid her thousands of dollars using your joint funds. He committed fraud with expense reports. That's criminal, by the way. We can request full asset disclosure, freeze accounts, and file for fault-based divorce citing adultery. You'll get more than half. Possibly alimony depending on his income. How long? Fast-tracked? 4 months. Maybe less if he doesn't contest. He'll contest. Let him. We have photos. Financial records. Witnesses. He'll lose. Badly. I signed papers. Retainer paid. Seth offered to cover it. I refused. Used my personal savings Dean didn't know about. Always kept a secret account. Paranoia? Maybe. Lifesaver? Absolutely. Catherine smiled as I left. One more thing. You might want to consider exposing the affair to his employer. Violating company policy has consequences. Already planned. Seth was waiting in the lobby. How'd it go? I'm about to become single and significantly wealthier. Good. You deserve both. We walked to a coffee shop, sat outside. October in Austin, perfect weather, horrible timing. I need to ask you something, I said. Why are you really doing this? The flowers, the evidence, the support. You could have just told me and walked away. Why stay? Seth looked at his coffee. Long pause. Because 10 years ago I asked you to marry me. You said no. You said you needed to focus on your career, that you weren't ready, that timing was wrong. I respected that. I left. I moved on, or tried to. Seth, but I never stopped loving you, Alma. I dated other women, even got engaged once. Called it off because she wasn't you. Nobody was ever you. He met my eyes. When I saw Dean with Vanessa, I was angry. But when I realized he was treating you like you were disposable, I couldn't stay silent. You deserved to know. You deserved better. You always deserved better. My heart did that thing again. Complicated. Painful. Hopeful? I'm not asking you to jump into anything, he continued. You're going through hell. You need time, space, healing. I get that. I'm just saying, I'm here. However you need me. Friend, support system, or eventually, more. If you want. When you're ready. If you're ever ready. I reached across the table, took his hand. Thank you for seeing me, for caring enough to blow up my life in the best way possible. That's what love does. He squeezed my hand. It sees you, even when you can't see yourself. Monday morning, Seth went to HR, filed formal complaint against Dean, provided evidence, emails, photos, expense reports, everything. HR launched investigation. Fast. Dean was suspended pending review. Vanessa, too. Dean called me. Forgot I'd blocked him. Used office phone. Receptionist transferred him before I could stop it. Alma, what did you do? Hi, Dean. Enjoying your suspension? You went to my company? You're trying to destroy my career? No, sweetheart. You destroyed your career when you decided to break company policy, commit expense fraud, and treat your marriage like a part-time hobby. I just documented it. You're insane. You're vindictive. I'm done. I hung up. Felt good. Really good. Tuesday. Dean showed up at my office. Security stopped him. I'd preemptively warned them. He stood in the lobby, yelling, making a scene. Coworkers watched, filmed. Alma, come down here. Face me. I went to the window, looked down, waved, smiled. He lost his mind. Started screaming about crazy wives and ruining his life. Security escorted him out. Video went viral internally. Someone posted it to Reddit. Man has meltdown at ex-wife's office after getting caught cheating. Front page. Thousands of comments. All supporting me. Dean became a meme. Perfect. Wednesday. Catherine called. Dean's attorney wants to negotiate. He's panicking. Knows he'll lose in court. They're offering settlement. What are the terms? Insulting. He keeps the house, which you both own, pays you $20,000 and you waive alimony. Counteroffer. I get the house, my car, 70% of liquid assets, repayment of all funds he gave Vanessa with interest, and he covers my legal fees. He also signs a non-disparagement agreement. If he talks badly about me publicly, he pays additional penalties. You're learning. Catherine sounded proud. I'll send it over. Thursday evening. Seth and I had dinner. Real dinner. Not crisis management. Not strategy sessions. Just us. When this is over, he said carefully. What do you want? Big picture. Life goals. Dreams. Honestly, I want to stop feeling like I wasted 8 years. I want to trust someone again. I want to believe that love isn't just elaborate theater designed to hurt me. It's not. He reached across the table again, held my hand. Real love is quiet. Steady. It doesn't lie. It doesn't hide. It shows up. Every day. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Is that what you're offering? If you'll have me, not now, not rushed, but eventually. When you're ready. I'll wait. I've been waiting 10 years. I can wait longer. I smiled. Real smile. First one in days. What if I'm damaged goods? What if I can't trust anymore? Then we'll build trust. Slowly, carefully, together. He kissed my knuckles. Gentle. You're not damaged, Alma. You're just healing. And healing takes time. Friday morning. Catherine called. Victory in her voice. He accepted your counteroffer. All of it. House, assets, repayment, legal fees, non-disparagement clause. He signed an hour ago. I sat down. Hard. Didn't realize I'd been standing. He just gave up? His attorney showed him the evidence, told him a judge would crucify him. Smart lawyer. Saved his client from complete annihilation. You won, Alma. Decisively. When's it final? Paperwork processes Monday. You'll be officially divorced by end of next week. Fastest I've ever seen. I hung up. Stared at my phone. 8 years. Over, finished, done. Seth texted. Dinner tonight? Celebration? Me. You're assuming I want to celebrate. Seth. You should. You just destroyed a cheater and got everything you deserved. That's worth champagne. He was right. That evening, Seth picked me up. Not from the hotel. I'd moved back into my house Wednesday after Dean collected his things. He'd looked pathetic, defeated, loading boxes into a U-Haul while I watched from the doorway, sipping wine. This is still my house too, he'd tried. Not according to the settlement you signed. You have 2 hours. Then I'm changing the locks. He'd left in 90 minutes. Seth took me to Uchi, expensive sushi place downtown. The kind Dean always said was too pricey for a Tuesday. It's Friday, Seth said, reading my mind, and nothing's too expensive for you. We ordered everything. Toro, uni, wagyu, fancy sake. I felt reckless, free, alive. I heard something interesting today, Seth said, popping edamame. Dean and Vanessa both got fired. Official termination. Company released a statement about maintaining professional standards and ethical conduct. They're both unemployed? I tried not to smile. Failed spectacularly. Completely. And in this industry, firing for ethical violations? That follows you. Good luck getting hired anywhere reputable. He raised his sake cup. To Karma working overtime. We clinked glasses. There's more, Seth continued. Vanessa's landlord evicted her. Apparently, Dean was paying half her rent. Now he can't. She can't afford it alone. She's moving back with her parents. In Lubbock. Lubbock, Texas? Middle of nowhere Lubbock? The very same. Her mom posted about it on Facebook. So happy to have my baby girl home, with 17 crying emojis. Seth showed me his phone. I don't have Facebook. My assistant does. She's been monitoring the situation. For research purposes. I laughed. Actually laughed. Deep, genuine, cleansing laughter. They lost everything. Jobs, apartment, dignity, each other, I'm assuming. Oh, they broke up. Wednesday, according to office gossip. Dean blamed her for seducing him and ruining his marriage. She blamed him for being a lying coward who couldn't commit. They had a screaming match in the parking garage. Security footage exists. It's glorious. I need to see that footage. Already requested. Should have it by Monday. We ate, talked, real conversation. He told me about Dallas, his job, his lonely apartment with minimalist furniture because nothing felt like home. I told him about Austin, my promotion last year. How Dean hadn't even congratulated me properly, just said, "More work for you, I guess." He diminished you, Seth said quietly. Made you smaller so he could feel bigger. That's what weak men do. And what do strong men do? They celebrate you, support you, build you up. He met my eyes. They see your success as their success, because real love isn't competition, it's partnership. Something shifted. Inside me. Around us. The air felt different. Charged. I'm not ready, I said. Honest. Raw. For anything serious, for us. Not yet. I know. He smiled. Gentle. Patient. Take your time. I'm not going anywhere. The following week, everything fell into place with terrifying efficiency. Monday. Divorce finalized. I was officially Alma Dawson no more. Back to Alma Rutherford. Felt like reclaiming myself. Tuesday. Dean's company paid me $17,000. Settlement for his fraudulent expense reports. They'd audited everything. Found more violations. Covered their liability by compensating me directly. Wednesday. I received a check from Dean. $53,000. Repayment for all money he'd given Vanessa, plus interest Catherine negotiated. He'd had to liquidate his retirement account. Early withdrawal penalties destroyed him. Thursday. I redecorated the house, new paint, new furniture, erased every trace of Dean, burned our wedding photos in the backyard fire pit. Seth came over, brought marshmallows. We made s'mores over the ashes of my failed marriage. This is therapeutic and delicious, I said. Chocolate on my lip. Multitasking at its finest. Seth wiped the chocolate away with his thumb. Lingered. Pulled back. Respectful. Friday. 1 month after the flowers arrived. I went back to work. Everyone knew. Office gossip travels faster than light. But instead of pity, I got respect, admiration, even a few high fives. You're a legend, Sarah from accounting said. Took down a cheater and got the house? Icon behavior. My boss called me into his office. I tensed, prepared for awkwardness. "I'm promoting you," he said instead. "Senior Marketing Director. 20% raise. You've earned it. Your work's been exceptional, even during personal hell." "That's remarkable." I walked out of his office in shock. Everything was falling into place, almost suspiciously well. That evening, Seth called. "I have news. Big news. Good or bad? Depends on perspective. I got promoted. VP of Finance." "Seth, that's incredible. Congratulations." "There's a catch. Positions in Austin. Corporate's relocating me. I'll be working at the headquarters here, starting next month." Silence. "You're moving here." Not a question. "If that's okay with you." "I'm not doing this to pressure you or—" "It's okay." I meant it. "It's more than okay." "Yeah?" "Yeah." We met for coffee the next morning. Cafe Medici. Full circle. Same table where he'd told me the truth. "I found an apartment," Seth said. "Downtown, modern, 1 bedroom, very bachelor pad." "Sounds lonely." "It won't be. I have friends, work. If you'll let me be part of your life, in whatever capacity you're comfortable with." I looked at him. Really looked. This man who'd loved me silently for 10 years, who'd protected me when I didn't know I needed protecting, who'd handed me the truth wrapped in roses and set me free. "I want to try," I said. "Us. Not now, not immediately, but soon. I want to see if we can build something real, something honest." Seth's face transformed. Hope, joy, relief. "Slow. We'll go slow as you need. Coffee dates, dinners, normal getting to know you again stuff. I can do that. I'm excellent at patience." 10 years, remember? 2 months later, December, holiday party at my company. I brought Seth as my date. First public appearance together. Office gossip exploded. I didn't care. Dean showed up, uninvited. Crashed through the door like a tornado of desperation and cheap cologne. "Alma." Everyone stopped. Music cut. Awkward silence. Security moved toward him. I held up my hand. "It's fine. Let him speak." Dean stumbled forward. Drunk. Pathetic. "You ruined my life. Everything's gone. Job, house. Her. All because you couldn't forgive one mistake." "One mistake?" I stayed calm. Ice cold. "You had a 6-month affair. Spent thousands of our dollars on another woman. Lied every single day. That's not one mistake, Dean. That's a lifestyle choice. I loved you." His voice cracked. Manipulative tears. Classic. "No, you didn't. You loved the idea of having 2 women. You loved the ego boost. You loved getting away with it. You never loved me." Seth stepped forward. Protective. "Time to go, Dean." Dean looked at Seth. Recognition. Rage. You did this. You stole my wife." "I didn't steal anyone. You threw her away. I just reminded her what she's worth." Seth's voice was steel. "Which is infinitely more than you ever deserved." Security escorted Dean out. He went quietly this time. Broken, defeated, empty. The party resumed. People congratulated me, praised my composure, called Dean pathetic. I accepted it all with grace. Seth pulled me aside. Outside. Balcony overlooking downtown Austin. Christmas lights everywhere. Beautiful. Magical. "You okay?" he asked. "I'm perfect." I meant it. He's nothing to me now. Just a cautionary tale about trusting the wrong person. And me? Vulnerable. Hopeful. What am I to you? I took his hand. Laced our fingers together. "You're the person who saw me when I was invisible. Who told me the truth when everyone else let me live a lie. Who waited 10 years because you believed I was worth waiting for. You are worth it. You're worth everything." "I'm ready," I said. "For us. For real. No more waiting." Seth smiled. Brilliant. Genuine. "You sure?" "Completely." He kissed me. Soft. Sweet. Perfect. First kiss in 10 years. First kiss as free woman. First kiss of something real. Fireworks didn't explode. Orchestra didn't swell. But something better happened. I felt safe. Seen. Loved. Actually loved. We pulled apart. Foreheads touching. Breathing same air. "I have a confession," Seth whispered. I never stopped planning our future. Even when you married him, even when it seemed impossible, I kept hoping. What did you plan? This. You, us, together. Finally. Ambitious. Patient, he corrected. There's a difference. We went back inside, danced, laughed, celebrated. My co-workers cheered. Someone started chanting, "Kiss, kiss, kiss." We obliged. Crowd went wild. Best office party ever. January, new year, new life. Seth moved into his Austin apartment. We spent weekends together. Cooking, watching movies, talking. Really talking, learning each other again. Or maybe for the first time. Properly. Dean got a job, finally, small firm, entry level, massive pay cut. He'd been blacklisted from major companies. His own fault. Consequences. Glorious consequences. Vanessa stayed in Lubbock. Last I heard, she was working retail. Karma's hilarious sometimes. February. Valentine's Day. Seth cooked dinner at my place. Steak, asparagus, chocolate lava cake. Romantic. Thoughtful. Perfectly him. After dessert, he pulled out a small box. My heart stopped. "Relax," he laughed. "Not a ring. Not yet. Just a promise." Inside, a key to his apartment. "Move in with me," he said, "or I'll move in here. I don't care where. I just want to wake up next to you. Build a life together. Properly. No secrets, no lies. Just us." That's a big step. I've been waiting 10 years for this step. I'm ready. Question is, are you? I looked at the key. Symbol of trust, commitment, future. Yes. Simple, clear, certain. Yes, I'm ready. March. I moved into Seth's apartment. We combined lives, books, furniture, quirks, arguments about thermostat temperature and proper way to load dishwasher. Normal couple things, beautiful, mundane, perfect things. Dean texted once, blocked number but got through somehow. "I hope you're happy." I didn't respond, but I thought, I am. Finally. Completely. Utterly happy. Deleted his number. Blocked every possible contact method. Closed that chapter, sealed it, buried it. 1 year after the flowers arrived. I'm sitting in our apartment, Seth's and mine, drinking coffee on the balcony. Morning sun, Austin skyline, traffic sounds below. Normal, beautiful, mine. Seth's inside making breakfast. French toast. He burns it every single time. I pretend not to notice. He pretends he's a chef. We have our routines now. Our rhythms. Our inside jokes that nobody else would understand. Last week we ran into Dean. Whole Foods parking lot. Unavoidable Austin moment. He looked smaller somehow. Older. Worn down by consequences he created. "Alma." He nodded. Uncomfortable. "Seth." "Dean." I kept my voice neutral. Not warm, not cold. Just done. Awkward silence. He shifted his grocery bag. Generic brands. Budget shopping. How the mighty fall. "You look happy," he said finally. Bitter edge. I am happy. Truth. Simple. Devastating. That should have been us. Pathetic. Playing victim. No, Dean. It couldn't have been us. Because us required honesty. And you're allergic to that. I took Seth's hand. "We're late for brunch. Take care of yourself." Walked away. Didn't look back. Seth squeezed my hand. "You okay?" he asked in the car. "Completely. He's just a stranger who hurt me once. He doesn't get to hurt me twice. That's the thing about healing. It's not linear, not pretty, not Instagram-worthy. It's messy and complicated, and sometimes you cry in grocery store parking lots for no reason. But eventually, gradually, without realizing exactly when, the person who destroyed you becomes irrelevant. Background noise. Footnote in your story. I learned things this year. Uncomfortable truths about myself. 1. I ignored red flags because I wanted the fairy tale. Dean was distant, secretive, emotionally unavailable. I convinced myself it was work stress or normal marriage stuff. It wasn't. It was him showing me exactly who he was while I insisted on believing who I wanted him to be. 2. I made myself smaller to accommodate his ego, downplayed my promotions, apologized for success. dimmed my light so he wouldn't feel threatened. That's not love. That's self-erasure. 3. I stayed too long. Ignored intuition. Dismissed gut feelings. Convinced myself I was paranoid when I was actually perceptive. Note to self. Trust your instincts. They're usually right. But here's what else I learned. Love isn't supposed to hurt. Real love, the kind Seth gives me, is easy. Not effortless, but natural. It doesn't require constant negotiation or emotional gymnastics. It just is. Real love sees you, acknowledges you, celebrates you. It doesn't compete, doesn't diminish, doesn't hide. Real love shows up every day, especially boring days, especially hard days. Seth proposed 3 months ago, spring evening. Nothing elaborate. We were walking our dog. Yes, we got a dog, golden retriever named Biscuit, because we're predictable like that. And he just stopped. Middle of the trail. Marry me. Not a question. Statement. Confident. We've only been officially together for a year, I said. I've loved you for 11 years. I think I've waited long enough. He pulled out a ring. Platinum band. Single diamond. Simple. Elegant. Perfect. I'm not asking because I'm afraid of losing you. I'm asking because I want to choose you every day for the rest of my life. Publicly, officially, permanently. I ugly cried. Full sobbing, snotty mess. Biscuit got excited and jumped on us. Total disaster. Yes, obviously yes. We're getting married next month. Small ceremony. Close friends. Family. Nothing extravagant, just meaningful. That's all we need. My mom asked if I was nervous about trying again. Fair question. Loaded question. I'm not trying again, I told her. I'm trying something completely different. Dean was practice for recognizing what I don't want. Seth is proof I know what I deserve. She cried. Happy tears. I never liked Dean anyway. Why didn't you say something? Would you have listened? No. Exactly. Moms. Always right. Annoyingly so. Work's going well. Senior marketing director turned into VP of marketing last month. Corner office, actual window, company car. The success Dean always said would intimidate men is exactly what Seth celebrates. He sends flowers to my office every Friday. Different varieties. Never roses. Too much history there. Last Friday, sunflowers. Card said, proud of you, always. My assistant swooned. Your fiancé's the best. She's right. He is. Vanessa? Heard through mutual connections she's engaged. Apparently found some guy in Lubbock. Good for her, I guess. Hope she learned something. Doubt it. But hope is free. Dean's still single. Working his entry-level job. Living in a studio apartment. Dating sporadically. One mutual friend said he's still talking about the wife who ruined him. I didn't ruin him. He ruined himself. I just stopped participating in his delusions. There's a difference. Sometimes people ask how I forgave him. Plot twist. I didn't. Forgiveness implies reconciliation. Implies healing the relationship. I have zero interest in either. What I did was release him. Stopped letting his betrayal define my worth. Stopped replaying his lies. Stopped giving him mental real estate. He doesn't deserve my anger. Anger means he still matters. He doesn't. He's just the guy who taught me what I won't tolerate. Expensive lesson. Worth it. Seth and I talk about the future now. Real plans. Not vague, someday fantasies. Concrete timelines. Kids? Maybe. 2 years. We're thinking about it. No rush. We want time to just be us first. House? Searching. Looking at suburbs. Good schools. Backyard for Biscuit. White picket fence feels cliché, but honestly, I want the cliché. I earned boring suburban happiness. Careers? We're both thriving, supportive, competitive in healthy ways. Who can close bigger deal becomes foreplay. We're weird. It works. Last night, Seth asked, "Do you ever regret saying no the first time I proposed?" I thought about it. Really thought. No, because we weren't ready then. I wasn't ready. I needed to become who I am now. Experience what I experienced. Learn what I learned. If we'd gotten married at 24, We'd have been different people building a different life. Think we'd have made it? Honestly? Probably not. We were kids. I was ambitious and ruthless about my career. You were building your foundation. We'd have resented each other eventually. And now? Now we're adults who chose each other after seeing the worst life offers. That's stronger than young love. That's informed love. He kissed my forehead. You're annoyingly wise. I had a great teacher. His name was Consequences. Real strict. Taught me everything. We laughed. That's the other thing about real love. It's fun, easy, light. Even heavy conversations feel manageable because you're not carrying them alone. I think about the flowers sometimes. That Tuesday afternoon. Anonymous roses. Cryptic card. The moment everything changed. Best worst day of my life. Because it broke everything. Shattered my comfortable denial. Forced me to see truth I'd been avoiding. But it also freed me. Freed me from a man who saw me as placeholder. Freed me from a marriage built on lies. Freed me from settling for crumbs when I deserved the whole bakery. Those flowers weren't romantic. They were a demolition notice. And sometimes demolition is necessary. You can't build something strong on a cracked foundation. You have to tear it down. Start over. Build correctly. That's what I did. What we did. Seth and I. We demolished the lies. Cleared the rubble. Built something real. Something lasting. Something neither of us has to hide or apologize for. Next month, I'll walk down an aisle. Real one this time. Toward a man who sees me. Always has. Always will. Dean will not be invited. Obviously. He'll probably hear about it somehow. Small world. Smaller city. I hope he does hear. Hope he realizes what he lost. What he threw away. What he'll never have again. Not because I want him to hurt. I'm past that. But because some people only learn through loss. And Dean? He lost everything. Job, wife, dignity, future. I gained everything. Career, love, peace, self-respect. Math checks out. People say I'm bitter, cold, unforgiving, maybe. But I'm also happy, thriving, loved, free. I'll take cold and happy over warm and miserable any day. Final thoughts? Lessons learned? Wisdom acquired through emotional warfare? Here's what I know now. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. First time. Don't wait for the 16th photo. Don't wait for anonymous flowers. Don't wait until you're sitting in a bathroom stall crying over evidence of betrayal. Your intuition is smarter than your hope. Listen to it. Love shouldn't require detective work. If you're checking phones, tracking locations, verifying stories, you're not in a relationship. You're in an investigation. End it. You teach people how to treat you. I taught Dean he could lie. I taught him I'd accept excuses. I taught him my time and loyalty were negotiable. Never again. And finally, the right person won't make you feel crazy for expecting honesty. Won't make you feel needy for wanting attention. Won't make you feel demanding for requiring respect. The right person makes you feel seen, valued, chosen, every single day. Seth does that. Has done that. Will continue doing that. So here I am, 1 year later, engaged, thriving, happy, living my best life with a man who sent me flowers not to romance me, but to save me. Best delivery I ever received. Turns out, when someone says he doesn't deserve you, but I see you, they're not just critiquing your spouse. They're offering you a mirror, showing you your worth, reminding you that you deserve better. I looked in that mirror. Didn't love what I saw, woman accepting less than she deserved. But I changed it, became the person I needed to be, found the love I'd always wanted. The flowers are long dead, dried, thrown away weeks ago, but the truth they delivered, that's permanent. And I'm grateful for the flowers, the truth, the pain, the growth, all of it. Because sometimes love arrives disguised as destruction. And sometimes the best thing that can happen is having your world fall apart so you can rebuild it correctly. Mine fell apart spectacularly, and I rebuilt it beautifully. That's my story. Drama, betrayal, heartbreak, revenge, justice. And eventually, finally, Actual love. If you're reading this from a bathroom stall, staring at evidence of betrayal, crying over lies, I see you. You deserve better, and better is coming. Trust me. I'm living proof.